Okay, y'all, hold on to your hats because you guys have been asking over and over and over for this show. And I am beyond excited to bring an expert on corporate wellness. Please welcome to our show, Christie Hunter. Welcome, Christie.
Thanks, Adrian. That's a fun intro.
Oh, well, it's true. You are like the go-to person when everybody talks about corporate wellness. I'm like, talk to Christie. She has figured this out. So before we jump and like get to know everything there is in your brain, tell us, how did you get to where you are? I want to hear your story of how you made it.
That's a great story, right? Because again, I just say this. I had a 4-year undergraduate degree, 2-year graduate degree, and an internship that never once talked about corporate wellness or business or any of that stuff. So I feel like I was kind of self-trained. And when I was working in my clinical job, first job, in a hospital, I worked there for 6 months and I was like approached by the employee wellness to do what I thought was side work. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. That sounds fun, like in addition to my job. So when I was sitting in the interview, after an hour in the interview, I realized that they were talking about a full-time job. And I was like, oh,
Surprise.
yeah, I can't do that. I just got a new job. Like I just am only been a clinical dietitian for 6 months. So I did take the job and I loved it. And I was in that role. And at first, I was doing typical nutrition things. So I was writing articles for newsletters and I was doing, classes and lunch and learns. But then as the role got bigger, I kind of inserted myself into some meetings with the HR people and the lead executives because I wanted to hear what was driving their decisions, because wellness is typically a non-revenue producing department. So if there's going to be budget cuts, it was going to be wellness. So I wanted to make sure that I understood the backdrop of everything that was going on so that I could better secure my job, right? So I did that and then kind of learned all the like, what is HR looking for? What are they making? What is driving their decisions? So that then when I started my private practice and I could go and, approach companies, I knew what to say because I knew I had spoken their language.
Oh my gosh. How forward thinking of like your past self. Like, don't you just want to go and give her like a great big high five?
Yes. Yes, because never in a million years was it supposed to be a full-time gig, right?
Whoa. Like, how did you like have the foresight to be like, oh, I'm just going to go and like listen to all these meetings and like, I'm going to insert my, like, how did you even do that? Like, did they like, oh, Christy, come along and meet with these executives?
So the nice part about it was, and again, I had the best boss. So whenever I think about the boss that I want to be, I mirror myself and think of how she was. And so she always put me in those key meetings. She just always included me and said, hey, let's bring Christy along. And so, how like when you don't understand the formulas of like something and you're like, let me bring somebody else to that key meeting because they understand how to calculate that formula feed. I don't know how to do that or whatever. Yeah. So she was kind of bringing me along because she knew I could look at stuff and kind of pick it apart. And so then I got always just brought to the meetings. And then she hated public speaking. And so when they were like, y'all have this amazing wellness program, can you come and talk to our, executives? I was always the one that was doing it. So again, I look at my own staff now, right? And think, how can I push them forward? And what is it that they want to do so that I can make sure that they succeed in areas that I'm necessarily not good at because of that modeling that I had from an amazing boss.
Oh, I love that. How being able to like really use your strengths, so like what you're good at, to kind of foster and learn and like just absorb everything. Okay, so you're learning all of this and like talking with all these execs and all of the HR people and learning everything. How did you jump ship and like start your own private practice? Because I know a lot of our listeners are like, yeah, I want that. I don't want to do all the meetings. I just want that. So like, how did you do that?
So when I started out, again, when I started my private practice, it was a part-time gig. It was not a full-time thing. It was going to just be some extra cash on the side, right? And then, and again, it was never going to be employee wellness because I kind of looked at that as like a non-compete issue. So I was like, I got to be careful. So I just kind of started my private practice as a general nutrition practice, which most people don't do nowadays. You feel this need to like niche down and all this stuff. I did truly start as a general nutrition. But then when I kind of was like, hey, this pocket money is pretty good. Let me like, how do I get more of these kind of clients? Well, then it just came to me because like, then I'm filing with insurance, right? And so I find out that their insurance was through their employer. So then it's like, oh, well, you know what? There's like 300 other employees at that same place with that same insurance plan. I know how to approach that HR person. Let me call them. And so that's what I started doing is like the clients that were calling me, I would find out where they worked. And then I would reach out to the HR person, talk their lingo, talk to their language and be like, do you guys have a dietitian? And they would say, no, we don't. And I'm like, hey, did you know that your insurance plan covers this? And what a win-win it is for you because you don't have to have a budget line item for a staff person. It's already included with your benefits package. And like, it looks like you're offering additional stuff. So you get the credit of it, but I get to file insurance because y'all already have this. So once I was able to sell it to companies, and that's the key, the companies like get hit up all the time from vendors, right? The two things you need to tell a company if you are working with them is this does not cost you any money. And you need to say to them, the employees will not have to pay anything out of pocket. So when you say that, their ears perk up because they are assuming you're trying to sell their employees something. So when you say there's no money exchange, you don't have to pay me anything, then they're like, oh, wait a minute. Okay.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yes, please. And so then you can say, hey, I can come and teach classes, or I can come and be on site. And pre-COVID, that's what we did all the time is we would just make it easier for the employer group. So we would come, we said, all you got to do is find us a confidential space. We'll come on site, you market our services, we'll sign up the employees, and then we treated them just like we would somebody coming to the office. And it's great because you would get all these employees that are interested, right? And then let's say that you have a cancellation, right? Or a no-show. You have this pool of people sitting right there with this benefit. So you could go and easily say, hey, Sally, I know you had to cancel your appointment last week because of a training thing you had to attend. Guess what? Somebody had to cancel this week and I'm here. Do you want to come? And they'd be like, yes. And so it was a lot easier to fill those no-show and cancellation appointments a lot easier than in the office because you had this pool of active people with insurance that already covered this.
Oh my gosh, that is such a win-win. Okay, I have a million questions because I think of course, you make it sound so easy and like, oh, you just pick up the phone and call and oh, people will just say yes, yes, yes. And I hope it is that easy. But I wonder, like, when you pick up that phone for the first time to call HR, were you terrified?
Not really, because
really?
No, because again, you got to think about it. Like I was already in this space, right? So like little things, like there's these wellness awards, right? And so the companies are doing anything to get recognition locally, right? And so if they're putting on a wellness program or doing anything, of course they're going to apply for these awards. And these awards are through like our Triad Business Journal. So I'm not talking about like national organizations, right? So I'm talking smaller business associations. So I would meet these employer groups when I was still working at the hospital, representing the hospital as an employer group. So it was a little bit less intimidating to me because I would already kind of have a name and a face that I knew from these meetings and stuff. But if I was cold calling, right? Now, let's just say that I'm giving advice for the current people. Mm-hmm. Here's the way to do it, right?
Oh, we're getting the tea. Okay.
We're not lying, right? We are just going to state it a little bit differently. So instead of saying, hey, I'm Adrien from Nourish, right? You might say, hey, this is Adrien and I'm calling from Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I'm a dietitian and I am working with several companies and I wanted to let you know that this is a benefit that's available, right? So you're not lying because you are representing Blue Cross and Blue Shield as a provider, right?
Oh.
And the HR people, they're used to hearing from their insurance people.
Oh, so then it's like, who are you? What are you doing? As opposed to like, oh, I know you. I trust you. I got this.
Yes.
I love that.
So you're going to call them and say that, and then you're going to email them, right? And again, a lot of these places, like if you go under, let's just pick, let's pick Volvo. Okay. So if you go under Volvo and you're going to say, yeah, I'm going to go and talk to them, on most of these employer websites is an employment section of their website, right? So that automatically usually links you into some kind of HR connection. So there you have an HR person. So if you email that HR person, and that's the person that's not in charge of wellness, they will then pass you on to the wellness person, right?
Oh my
But you are
gosh.
able to get that information usually off of websites pretty easily.
Wow. I
And
mean,
if you don't find that, the next key is most of the wellness stuff is housed under HR under benefits. So if you can get to the HR person in charge of benefits, then they can say, oh, well, this person is in charge of our wellness program, or yes, let me talk to you about whatever, depending on how big the company is. So you want to make sure you're talking to the HR person in benefits. And now, I mean, it's fall here, right? So now is a great time because a lot of companies are doing open enrollment. They're looking at their benefits for the first of the year. And unfortunately, a lot of times they're increasing the premiums for their employees. So it's always nice if they can add a, oh yes, don't forget you have this benefit that you're paying for as well.
oh, that's amazing. Why don't people do this all of the time? You make it sound so easy.
I mean, again, you just have to keep saying, if I was an HR person, what am I looking for, right? I'm going to look for perks for my employees that don't cost me money.
Yeah.
So you're going to sell it as, I'm going to help you with your employees. This is a benefit and it doesn't cost you any money. And employees love this because they may be wanting to learn how to eat better or manage their diabetes or, just learn how to cook for a family when they're on the go. And so all of these things you can talk to their employees about. And let me say this, do not agree to go and do a health fair or a lunch and learn free of charge.
No free stuff.
No free stuff. We went to school for way too long to be giving away our services.
Oh my gosh. I can't even tell you how many come to a health fair. I promise you'll get so many clients, and you sit there and give out so much stuff and nothing.
Nothing. So
yeah.
No, I reserve health fairs for the corporate groups that we currently work with. That's the way we do it. So we will participate, but think about it. If you spent all day sitting at a health fair and you were doing that a couple times a month, that is non-revenue producing time and non-marketing time that you could be doing something else.
Wow. I mean, no wonder you guys, your practice keeps growing and growing and growing because all of these companies have people. So is it everybody comes and sees you? If a company has 100 people, on average, do you get 100 people coming and seeing you?
No, but I think it depends on the culture in that workplace, right? So certain companies, right, their culture is we really believe in wellness. We really want you to do the best. So, they might have all these different challenges and things for their employees. They might give, do memberships to gyms at no cost to them. So I find that if you have a company that already believes in the wellness culture, you will get a better turnout. If you just have an HR person who is yeah, we're going to add you to our list, you're not going to get a great response. But again, if I'm offering to do things for them, right? If I'm hey, let me write you a newsletter article, right? So for example, November is diabetes month. Let's say you write an article on ways that you can prevent diabetes or, reduce your pre-diabetes status, whatever. If you write that for one company, you can share that same article with 5 other ones. So you're going to call company 1 and say, let me do this and let me help you out. Then you're going to call company 2 and say, let me help you, and send them the same thing. So it's not like you have to take it and individualize it for every single company that you work for. And the same thing with the presentations. What happened was we were getting so many presentation requests that then we just started putting together really good quality presentations. So then we had a company that would come and say, hey, we want to do a lunch and learn. Yeah, here's our list, right? So that we're not creating the same thing for all these different companies. We just have this list that you can pick from now. And that's what we market.
Love that. So, okay, no free stuff. When you are giving out these lunch and learns, are you charging for that? Or
Yes.
are they part? Oh,
We are billing insurance for it.
wow. Like a group class?
For a group class. So that usually is a big shocker to people. Yes, you can file insurance with that. Now, you have to think about the logistics of everybody that attends, you're going to have to get their subscriber ID. So there's a couple ways that you can do that. You can either request HR to give that to you, or you can do it on your own and have a registration form, or you can have people sign in and give you their name and date of birth, so you can find it, whatever. Or you can just charge a flat fee for the company and then not have to file insurance if you don't want to do it that way. So some companies choose to do it the flat fee. And then if one person shows up or 50 people show up, no problem. If I'm filing with insurance, I have a 10-person minimum.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense to cover your cost.
To cover costs, because that's where you're going to have a higher no-show rate. So 20 people are going to sign up for your class, but you can bet about 10 to 12 are going to show up.
Yeah.
Because they come up, people are like, that's not a good time for me or whatever.
Yeah. But if 50 people show up, oh, holy hell, that's amazing.
It's great, right? And especially for a class that you've already put together, right? It's really a win-win situation for the company and for you as a dietitian.
So, okay, we're in like 2 or 3 companies. You have all this going. Like, how did you keep growing your practice? And you're doing new other cool things. So I want to know about that too. So I want to keep hearing more of the Christie Hunter saga of everything going on. Okay, so tell us more. Tell me more.
You just keep networking, right? And you keep meeting, because again, let's say you have a really good corporate client group and you're working with it, but then let's say that HR person leaves, right? You don't want all your eggs in one basket. So you always got to be thinking of the next account that you can get. So you continually grow the account. And so, for example, my groups, it just seemed to be that we just really landed in higher academia. So we do a lot of stuff with colleges and universities and community colleges. So now we kind of know, okay, wow, there's a lot right here in our back door. Let's just keep talking to them. And then again, they all network with each other, right? Because they all want to know what the other group is doing to, make sure that they can attract good faculty and staff. So those HR people are talking to each other. So if we get in with one group and we say, hey, can you tell, this other university what we're doing? And to be like, yes, that's awesome. They should be doing that too. So you just keep growing, and then the practice continues to grow as you keep gaining more and more corporate accounts. So that's been great. And we've been able to hire more and more because we continue to grow. Plus we have an office. So we see normal, non-corporate clients that just find us through physician referrals and through our website. So we have that kind of growth that's always good, but it's always good if you have if each dietitian that's working for you has their own corporate account, because then that's good pool of people to get consistent clients from.
Oh, I love that. And it also gives kind of them a home base of
Yes.
these are all my people, this university or this community college. And so the HR person gets to know them, gets to know, and they're the faculty will talk to each other. Oh, I just love working with Christie. She's so amazing. You have to go and see her. She taught me how to cook with tarragon or whatever.
Yes, that's exactly how it works. And so now keep in mind though, the flip side is always can work against you, right? So if you no-show to that appointment, or you were running late, or you were not engaging, or you charge them for the no-show fee, even though you set it up front, if you make somebody mad, you better believe they're going to go back to their office and tell 10 people that they are mad at the dietitian.
Wow. So what do you do about the no-show fees and all of that when telling these HR people, oh, we won't charge anything out of pocket? And then we got to charge them because they didn't show up. How do you deal?
You have to be strategic in how you do that, right? So I'm very, understanding. So generally speaking, everybody gets a one-time pass. So once you've used up your one-time pass, I will make sure and say, oh, Adrien, I'm so sorry to hear that your kid is sick. I totally understand things come up. I'm so happy to waive the $50 no-show fee today, but just know that in the future, we do require 24-hour notice. So hopefully that won't be an issue going forward. So you're saying it in a nice, gentle way, not being a jerk about it. But yeah, next time I'm going to charge you. So
do you ever let the HR person know, like, hey, just want to let you know, like we've had a couple, okay. So kind of keep those lines of communication open.
And especially if they're getting pulled into meetings, right? Because they might have it on their calendar, but their manager or supervisor might say, no, I absolutely need you in this meeting. And then they pull them, and then we're stuck, making them pay a no-show fee. So then I'll kind of circle back to HR and be like, hey, I just want to let you know this particular month we had a couple more no-shows. This is kind of what we're running into. Do you think there's any way we can address this?
Wow.
And then the HR person might say, well, yeah, let me see if I can talk to so-and-so and, pass that feedback along, because they don't want their employees to have to pay that money out of pocket.
Oh yeah. That's amazing. I feel like, oh my gosh, I know I can see all the questions I have in my head of like, what forms do you use and this and that. So is there a way to like continue to learn from you? Because I'm just like, I'm just thinking of like forms and documents and a sign-in sheet. Like, how do you even do that? So tell it, like, how can I learn?
So again, what seems basic to me, right? Because I do it all the time, doesn't come naturally for everybody. And that's what made us start Nutrition Practice Network. There is a team of us, 3 of us, that we said, yes, let's like help other dietitians so they don't have to recreate the wheel in certain things. So it is a online membership platform, and we have a document library that has like the contracts, the sign-in sheets, the examples of emails like to send to HR. It has all of that on there, as well as a mastermind group. So you can connect with other people and learn how they're getting clients and how are they retaining clients, what are their referral sources, how do they track them, all of that stuff. So you're connecting with peers, which is what I think everybody really wants. And when you look at that Facebook group, that just in general, like the dietitians that are like constantly asking questions, it's because we need each other and support each other. So if you are in that mastermind group with Nutrition Practice Network, you're already putting key people at the table together to help you problem solve all that, which is a lot better than going back and forth on Facebook groups. And then we can also do one-on-one business coaching with that. So if you have somebody who wants to, learn about corporate wellness, they can meet with me. If they want to learn about insurance, they can meet with our co-founder, Ingrid, or they want to learn about packages or whatever, they can meet with Anna. So that's the nice thing, is that we have different areas of expertise, and you can get the one-on-one coaching in addition to the document library, in addition to the mastermind.
Oh my gosh. Because I was thinking of like, oh, if somebody wanted to like dive deep into this and really learn. And then like, if they run into problems, like I would want to pick your brain. Okay, this HR person said this, what do I do? So I love that you guys like do the one-on-one coaching for like the each areas of like, okay, we just had this corporate wellness thing, and how do I bill for a group again? Christy said something and I don't remember. So I love that you guys have all of the tools like ready to rock and roll, but then also that community, because it's really freaking lonely doing this by yourself.
It is. It is really, really lonely. Because when I started this, we didn't have mastermind groups. We didn't have Facebook groups. We didn't have any of that. So there was any group that we had many meetings in North Carolina. And I would like love those, because I'm like, yes, I'm going to get to sit with people and ask them questions. And I hope I get to sit beside the right person so that I can ask all these questions that I have, because I hate to harass somebody with calling them all the time. So yes, you need that support. It's very lonely.
Oh, and I love that, because it's also like, am I doing it right? I think that was my biggest thing. Every time I would like do something, I'm like, am I doing this right? I don't know. Is like the private practice police going to come and like take me away because I did it wrong? Like that was always my biggest fear of like, am I doing everything right? So I love that you have that peer support and that coaching and documents. There's so much stuff that you don't know you need until you need it.
Right. Yes. I think I walked away from Fancy so many times thinking, hearing people say, you don't know what you don't know. Right. And that's exactly what I feel like this document library is like, you don't know that you need a contract to go and just do a lunch and learn. Right.
Mm.
But it's going to spell out like, how are you going to pay? Oh, we have a 10-person minimum. Oh, okay. What's going to happen when you don't have the 10 people? And am I providing my laptop? Are you providing the laptop? Am I doing the AV stuff? Are you doing it? So all of that just protects you and has it all spelled out and what the cancellation policy is, right? So that way you're protecting yourself from the very beginning.
Wow. Again, like you don't know what you don't know, like cancellation policy on a lunch and learn. Nope, would never have thought of that, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, Christy, this has been so enlightening. I've took so many notes. I know all of our listeners have. How can we learn about your practice, Nutrition Practice Network? Tell us where we can find you.
Yes. So you can find me on LinkedIn. It's Christie Hunter and it's Christie. So you can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find my practice as Christie RD. So you can find my practice on the web and see the kind of classes that we teach for the corporations. And then for Nutrition Practice Network, it's just the website there, and you can learn more about the memberships and how you can connect with me.
Oh, I love it. Well, we will have all of that in our show notes and so much more, all of our notes from today. But Christy, this has been magical. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yes, thanks.
Where do I pause? Pause.